Well, thank you. I just really am proud of the Republicans on the committee, and our goal is to basically get out of Amy's way and let Amy shine.
Well, she is doing that. I have one request. I would wonder if you could go to Sheldon Whitehouse. If he would donate those conspiracy charts, I could raise a lot of money for the injured Marine Semper Fi Fund. I mean, that those are the most. You have a lot of Marines in South Carolina. I raise a lot of money for the
Yes,
Semper Fi
we
Fund.
do.
If we can get those charts, I think I can get five figures for those charts.
Well, let me just say, I've always enjoyed Sheldon, and here's what I would tell Sheldon: you don't need to spend $250 million. You don't need a conspiracy to convince me that Amy Barrett is one of the most qualified people in the country to sit on the court. And if there is a scheme out there, it is working because it's producing the most highly qualified people you can imagine. But Sotomayor and Kagan, I thought were very qualified. I just can't say enough about Amy Barrett. To Sheldon, conservatives don't need anybody to tell us about Amy Barrett. We can figure that out for ourselves.
Now, I think I heard you say yesterday, by the way, your website is lindseygraham.com. I'm going to say lindseygraham.com about 10 times in these 12
Thank you.
minutes. Well,
Help me.
86
Help
million?
me.
Yeah, is it $86 million in money has come into South
Well,
Carolina?
so he broke records. My opponent did, Jamie Harrison, who is the associate chairman of the Democratic National Committee on their payroll, former party chairman. So they see in him an ally for this radical agenda. But $57 million in 3 months, most in the history of the Senate, for two reasons. They hate my guts because of Kavanaugh, and I voted for Sotomayor and Kagan. I thought they were qualified, but I got in the way of destroying Kavanaugh, and I dare help President Trump. So every liberal in the country is trying to take me out. It's not going to work. But LindseyGraham.com, if you could help us with $5 or $10, we can close the gap and get our message out.
This audience can do 50 or 100, Senator. So I want them to go to Lindsey Graham.
Well,
Now,
that would help a lot. That
I
really
have,
would be helpful.
I have a suggestion. I would have every Republican yield their time to Senator Hirono. Honestly, I want to find out if a meteor strikes the earth, can the president
I
declare
passed
martial
a
law?
note. I said just whose side is she on? I made a note to
I,
myself.
I
But
honestly,
if
she
she
was
could
reading
answer the
every
question
other
being asked, she
paragraph.
would be in.
She was
I
reading every other paragraph because it was highlighted. It made no sense, Senator.
well, I like her personally. She's had some health problems, but she's strong and vigorous and passionate. But I'm with you. I just think Amy Barrett had a command of the law that was just beyond impressive, and a demeanor and disposition. Here's what's important. The bottom of the basement is conservative women in American politics. They're marginalized, they're caricatured, their pro-life views are demeaned. Senator Harris praised Ginsburg not for being candid, but for being pro-choice. That statement she read wasn't an answer to a question. It was a articulate statement of the pro-choice position. So in the liberal world, the Amy Barrett's of the world are marginalized. There's been glass ceilings that have been broken by women. This is a reinforced concrete ceiling that's going to be busted open by Amy Barrett. Her qualifications, she embraces her faith. She's proudly pro-life, but she will be a fair-minded justice on the Supreme Court. History is being made. To all conservative young women out there, there's a place at the table for you.
I have never seen three nominees come from a president. President Nixon made four, and it was a mixed bag. These three nominees, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and now Judge Barrett, soon to be Justice Barrett, intellectually, it's like sending three ollies into the ring. It is just the most remarkable display of combined intellect. And you can't ask her a question that she even needs a note on. I've taught for 25 years. I've never seen a display of the command of con law without a note.
Well, I think she loves it. I mean, I can see why she was the professor of the year. She has just a good disposition, and I do believe that when it comes to the Affordable Care Act, that she's going to look at severability. And you've got to remember, conservatives sometimes get disappointed when they don't get the outcome they would like. In terms of the ACA litigation, you're a lawyer, you understand this. Is it still a tax when it's at zero? Okay, Robert said it was a tax. People disagreed, but he said it was a tax, not a penalty. that made it constitutional. What happens when it goes to zero? Is it still a tax? But that's not the end of the inquiry, is it, Hugh? If it is a unconstitutional tax, do you take the whole law down because of one provision? That's called severability. And the preference in the law is to keep a statute as whole as possible.
And I used to believe it would fall, but I have been persuaded by Professor Adler and others that I am wrong and that it will be considered severable. But she won't answer that, and she's right not to. Let me ask you this, Senator.
Yeah.
Until the hearings yesterday, I did not know that you had sponsored a 20-week bill about the unborn. I really had no idea. Does that matter to South Carolinians? Because it matters to me.
Oh, my goodness. It should matter to the civilized world. We're one of 7 nations in the world that allow abortion on demand in the 5th month of pregnancy, 20 weeks. You literally can have an abortion at that period for any reason in the world. I have legislation to take us out of that club that we share with North Korea and Iran. So here's the legal theory. It's different than viability of the unborn child. At 20 weeks, medical science requires anesthesia to be provided to the unborn child because they can feel pain. Routinely, you operate on babies in the 5th month to repair defects, but you provide anesthesia. Can you imagine what it's like to be dismembered through an abortion? So the compelling state interest here is protecting unborn children who are pain capable. That's a different legal theory. 14 states have passed that law. I'm trying to get passed up here. Help me get behind this law. It's a barbaric procedure that allows abortion in the 5th month of pregnancy.
Does the pro-life community know this, and are they contributing at lindseygraham.com?
Oh, it's their number one. God bless lindseygraham.com. Help me close the gap. I'm fighting for Amy. Fight for me. But let me tell you, the pro-life community has been terrific to me in this cause. 14 states, I think, have already passed a version of pain capable. And the name of it says everything. It's pain capable bill. The question for America, do we want to be one of 7 nations that allow the dismemberment of a child for any reason in the 5th month of pregnancy, knowing that child can feel pain? I think not.
I'm going to ask one more campaign question, then come back to Judge Barrett. It's closer than it's ever been in your 25 years. I still think you're going to win handily, but is there a church or a fraternal organization, a county fair or an NRA meeting that you've not been to in South Carolina? I mean, you're like Mr. Constituent.
Well, I go to birthday parties uninvited. I try to stay in touch. Senator Thurmond told me if you take care of the people, they take care of you. Here's what's happening. A combined $57 million, he's going to raise $100 million. You cannot turn on the television. He's buying my opponent about $9 million a week in TV advertising. The most ever spent on a Senate race was $14 million for a 6-year period. That was me in 2014. So the amount of money is unprecedented. It makes up, down. People in South Carolina understand who I am. I just need to penetrate the airways with the following message. No matter what he tells you, he's actually a Democrat. He's never mentioned it. And here's the clincher for me. If Republicans keep the Senate, Hugh, I will be in line to be the budget chairman. If Democrats take over the United States Senate in 2020, the budget chairman will be Bernie Sanders.
Okay, that's it. I mean, it is a national election. Let me go back
so
to the
every
hearing.
Conservative out there, help me stop Bernie from being your budget chairman.
LindseyGraham.com. Again, I didn't give 50, 100. I think the limit's 2,800, isn't it, Senator?
It's $2,800 per person, but $5 or $10 from a lot of people goes a long way. And to the extent you can help me out, appreciate it. I've got good messages. I got Nikki Haley and Tim Scott doing ads. They're terrific friends. This is a conservative state in South Carolina. But again, we're in a tough environment. You know, President Trump and I are doing well, but it's not like it used to be. The amount of money does matter.
Now, I want to go back to the what I expect will be the attack. Eventually, you're going to get a disgruntled student, because I've been teaching for 25 years. There's always one. And you're going to find a disappointed job applicant, someone who didn't get hired when she was on the appointment. There's going to be an attack. What are you going to do when they demand you reopen the hearing, Senator?
This hearing we've got a timetable. She has been subject to every question under the sun. Today was the last round of questioning. Thursday, we'll begin to mark up. We're going to report her out October 22nd. All I can say is that the weight of her life would overshadow any last-minute attempt to pull her down. She will be judged by the weight of her life, what she's done personally and professionally There's not going to be any Kavanaughs here. We're not going to put up with that crap again.
I'm actually glad that the Democrats did not bring up a forbidden religious test. I'm happy they changed their
Yeah, me too.
ways.
Yeah, me too.
Now, can the Democrats deny the full Senate a quorum that is in some of the newspapers today? Is there any way they can stop a vote?
We have to have 51 of our people, and we can do anything we like on the floor. I need all the Republicans together in the committee, and I can do anything I like. What I prefer to do is follow the rules, and we have. Traditionally, you have 4 days of hearings: introduction the first day, questioning day 2 and 3, outside panels day 4, begin the markup. But we have the ability, if Democrats want to try to boycott the hearing or deny us a quorum, to process the nomination. And Mitch McConnell's a master at doing this kind of stuff. My job and I can't thank my colleagues enough. Ted Cruz was excellent. You talk about the fifth vote. We're one vote away from losing our Second Amendment rights, being able to have free speech. He gave a great example of why one more liberal judge would change America as we know it. But Marsha Blackburn talked about what it's like to be a conservative woman. Our committee has done just a heck of a job. Ben Sass has been great. So we're going to deliver this nominee to the floor, I think, with a win to her back.
There's only one thing she can't answer, and I don't know if you want to bring it up, but in 2018-19, the college football playoff put Notre Dame in and excluded Ohio State, and I would like to see her defend that decision. But
Well, the last thing I'm going to say to her is that you mentioned something you can tell your colleagues a thing or two about football. Well, Clemson's about to show Notre Dame a thing or two about football in about 3 weeks.
Well, I'll look for that in the opening statement. Well done, Senator. Let's close. LindseyGraham.com, and it really does matter. It really does matter.
Thank you, Hugh.
Thank you, Senator. Be well. You cannot, I'm going to have Martha McSally next. You cannot expect these people to survive the dark money that is coming at them.